Hello there friends, Seasons Live here. In today's video, should Device really think about retiring? New teams led by some controversial figures, the emotional story of RPK, and a full recap of the opening stage. Plus plenty of other spicy updates from the world of CS2, so without further ado, let's get straight to it. And let's kick things off with the latest CS2 update. This time it brought changes to maps that aren't even in the competitive map pool, namely Overpass, Eden, and Palais. Out of these three, the most interesting for us is Overpass. In recent updates, the dev seems to be fixing and tweaking the map, which might mean that they're considering bringing it back to the map pool. One notable change is the addition of an extra wall on Heaven. Whether this will give an advantage to the one side or the other remains to be seen, and it's also unclear how this will impact gameplay, but you can suggest in the comments below. Changes were also made to Train, though nothing new was added. Instead, the devs adjusted some object collisions to make the gameplay smoother and more comfortable. On top of that, we saw some bug fixes. For example, this glitch where increasing player contrasts would reveal parts of an enemy or their weapon through thin textures. Additionally, there was an adjustment of predicted damage on models that doesn't match or is corrected by the server. You know, all this funny stuff with the headshots that doesn't kill. Finally, Valve has replaced Lucau's sticker with Bernison. Interestingly, other player stickers for those who didn't make it to the major haven't been replaced, for example Perfecto or Afro. And here's the kicker, if you've already unboxed a Lucau's sticker, it will automatically get swapped to Bernison's, so unfortunately there's no opportunity to profit from this situation. And also, obviously, Valve has introduced the Pick'em challenge for the elimination stage of the major. Unsurprisingly, a lot of people have already expressed their frustrations with their Pick'ems, because for most of us, it's a disaster. For example, BC Game jokingly suggested to introduce a new paper coin to represent failed Pick'ems alongside the existing one. And now let's look at the Pick'ems themselves. So first, there is a clear trend among the analysts and pro players. Most of them aren't putting much faith in teams like BIG, Furia, Wildcard, and Gamer Legion, frequently picking them for 0-3. Meanwhile, popular choices for 3-0 include Vitality, G2, Mouse, and Navi. As you can see, Banks, Thorin, and Pimp also made their predictions. Banks' prediction is quite average, but for example, Thorin doesn't believe in Gamer Legion, while he also believes that Team Liquid and Furia won't make it. As for Pimp, well, he totally sucked at the pick'ems for opening stage, so we advise skipping Jacob's predictions. Interestingly, Donk put Spirit in 3-2-3-1 and not for 3-0, which is surprising. On a lighter note, two notable figures in the scene decided to turn pick'ems into a fun wager. Aurora's CEO Lerich and Innershine, the analysts of Furia, have bet $1,000 on whose wife will make better pick'ems. Interestingly, both of their pick'ems feature Navi and Vitality at 3-0 and BIG at 0-3. And honestly, this is a funny competition to watch. Speaking of G2, we suddenly found out that one very famous person really loves the team. Zhu Guanyu, the professional Formula 1 driver, was recently gifted a personalized jersey signed by all the members of G2's roster. What makes it even more special is Zhou's status as the first and so far the only Chinese representative in Formula 1. Most recently, he secured 8th place in the Qatar Grand Prix, driving for Alfa Romeo. By the way, our Twitter followers were the first to hear this news. Don't forget to follow us there and stay updated with all the biggest news from the world of CS2. As always, a link in the description. Speaking of well-known personalities, we couldn't overlook the buzz around Amouranth, the owner of Wildcard. Just before one of their crucial matches, she found herself in a conflict with Wildcard's player, Sonic. The drama unfolded when Deserto published an article referring to Wildcard as Amouranth's team. Sonic responded by asking for the team to be referred by its actual name, Wildcard. Unfortunately, bro really got clickbaited by Deserto here. Anyways, Amouranth fired back with a tweet saying, "Don't bite the hand that feeds you," seemingly misunderstanding the intent behind Sonic's correction. But guys, this wasn't the only thing Amouranth misunderstood. She watched Wildcard's match against Passion UA alongside Onipixel on his stream, where her lack of familiarity with CS became quite quite evident. She repeatedly asked what was happening during the game, openly admitting she doesn't understand CS at all. When asked if Wildcard had a coach, her response was, "I don't know." But honestly guys, no hate here at all, because she's just an investor. Maybe there's a guy who knows CS and he just said to her like, "Let's do it," and she agreed. Why not? Sometimes that happens. Amouranth also revealed that she doesn't spend money on cases and only learned about CS during a fan meetup, a dream hack. She described her investment in Wildcard not as a business venture but as a charity. During the stream, she even jokingly asked Onipexel if the players from the Drillers call him daddy, to which he quickly denied.
Okay. Do they call you like daddy? Because they should, because you're basically just like paying for everything. They're practically your dependents at this point.
Nah. We didn't have weird dynamic. We had all friend dynamic. I swear I was so sick. Oh man, I'll never forget this time, Amouranth. Never.
And after Wildcard lost the second map, she said that she will punish the players. But honestly, I don't really know. The players obviously have this Amouranth buff, and as long as it helps them to play at the major, let it be. And my guys, just take a look at this. Another prominent figure from the industry, let's say, Eva Elfie, talked about Virtus.Pro's loss to Wildcard. She joked that VP might need an Eva buff, or maybe she even has to form a team of her own to compete with Amouranth. And unlike Amouranth, Eva at least knows something about esports. She attended multiple internationals in Dota 2 and CSGO majors and CS2 as well, interviewed players and did a lot of content. So my friends, whose team are we rooting for? Let us know in the comments below, Team Amouranth or Team Eva? Personally, I'd choose the redhead. And since we've mentioned Virtus.Pro, we just can't ignore something that Moses told everyone. The caster said that VP's management allegedly forbade players from giving interviews and instructed them to not to discuss leadership issues within the team during official streams. By the way, previously Moses had voiced frustration about team consistently sending Norbert for post-loss interviews, implying that he was solely responsible for their defeats. Yet, after VP's drop from the major, James also gave an interview, which Moses admitted he wasn't aware of. But anyways, the public relations from Virtus.Pro is not that good. Speaking of Opers, we must mention the recent comments about Device. So Kassad, God bless him, stated that Device should consider retirement, especially after his decision to step down from the roster right before the RMRs. So according to Kassad, despite winning 4 majors, Device's constant team changes and periods of inactivity have overshadowed his career. He suggested that Device retire gracefully and stop, quote, wasting sponsors' money, end of quote. Once again guys, it's just Kassad's opinion. Although I kinda agree, if you feel that you have to go, you have to go. And to wrap up the topic of Opers, we can't overlook a story involving S1MPLE and Nafany. The former captain of Gambit and BB team shared an intriguing anecdote about the 2021 season. So according to Nafany, his team recognized how strong Navi were and felt that they deserved to win the major. And to help Navi build confidence and dominate the major, Gambit reportedly started losing to them intentionally during the season. S1MPLE responded to this revelation, humorously thanking Nafany for the Mirage match at the Stockholm major. Nafany playfully replied, "All for you. If you can't remember, the teams faced off at the Stockholm semifinals, where Navi defeated Gambit 2-0, and it was a very easy game. Was this just a joke or a genuine strategy? We'll leave that for you to decide." S1MPLE is undoubtedly a living legend of Counter-Strike, but let's take a look at the results of HLTV's Hall of Fame voting to honor the true legends of the game. Not that S1MPLE wasn't a true legend, but just the old legends, you know? So according to their decision, the first inductees in the Hall of Fame are Get Right, Forrest, Heaton and Potty. Interestingly, all the players chosen for this prestigious recognition are from Sweden, a fact that isn't very surprising if you consider the dominance of the Swedish CS in the early days of the game's history. Before diving to the results of the opening stage of the major, major, let's take a moment and reflect on the fascinating yet difficult story of one of France's greatest players, RPK, also known as Le Tank. So recently the French legend opened up about the events of 2018 during the Boston Major, where he was rushed to the hospital. RPK said that he had been feeling unwell since October 2017, but kept it to himself, pushing through despite his condition. However, as always, things took a turn for the worse during the major. At one point, he began experiencing extreme pain and behaving unusually, which caught the attention of tournament organizers. And they just sent him to the hospital in the middle of the event. It was later revealed that RPK had pneumonia, which had affected a quarter of his lung. He remained hospitalized for a month, completely unable to think about CS, as his focus turned to fighting for his health. So guys, if you feel unwell, just do something about it. Don't wait. I'm not joking here. And now let's summarize the opening stage of the major, which brought us plenty of surprises and upsets. One of the biggest takeaways is the disappointing performance of European teams. As a result, the American RMR will receive an additional slot for the next major, since only 2 out of 6 European teams participating in the opening stage managed to advance. Despite this triumph for the NA scene, some analysts pointed out that things aren't as rosy as they seem. Sponge, for example, highlighted that 8 players competing in NA don't actually belong to the region's scene. Cooper responded by arguing that North America has become a place where Tier 2 European players go to compete under Tier 1 captains, basically hoping to make it into the major's top 16. For example, like Wildcard, where there are only 2 Americans. How people keep ignoring this fact. So yeah, speaking of the NA scene, we can't ignore its major disappointment of the year. For the first time in 7 years, Elige will not participate in the major's main stage. This happened despite Complexity almost completing a comeback from 0-2. Unfortunately, they lost their final match to BIG and failed to qualify. There are also rumors that Floppy might leave the team. Among the biggest surprises, we have Wildcard and Passion UA. Wildcard began their journey as a team from Isia Advanced, and their captain Stanislav before this major was thinking about retirement. And their standout is Fuzi, the only player who attempted to qualify for the major across all 3 regions. He first tried with NIP in Europe, then moved to China to compete with Rare Atom, and finally succeeded on his 3rd attempt with Wildcard. Guys, do you know Trainwreck? I think you do. He's a popular streamer, let's say. He recently caused a stir when he joked about paying $10 to buy out that Russian in Wildcard, referring to s1MPLE. He later apologized for the comments, clarifying that he has equal respect for both Russians and Ukrainians. Well, despite these distractions, Wildcard has shown a high level of play and could be a dark horse in the elimination stage. But for some reason, people keep putting them in 0-3s. Now let's say a couple of words about Passion UA. These youngsters are pretty awesome, to be honest. Despite their age, the team demonstrated remarkable strength, and Kane's incredible experience added some tactical depth. However, they made some mistakes in their final match against Wildcard, which ultimately cost them their spot in the tournament. Despite this, to be honest, their performance was exceptional for a first-time appearance at the major stage. And guys, the biggest disappointments are VP and Cloud9. They are undoubtedly the worst performers. Both of them completely failed to live up to the expectations. Their dismal showings highlighted glaring issues, leaving fans and analysts disappointed. Discussions about roster changes have already started, with many expecting significant shifts in these lineups once the major concludes. My friends, what are your thoughts about the Shanghai Major so far? Share them in the comments below, let's discuss. And that's all for today, my friends. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and follow our channel. I'm not saying goodbye for a long time. See you soon.